or that,
I
like my
only had,
17th?
right.
Okay,
I only had-
we're on, and with the hour being after 7, we'll open up the hearing. I got a text from Kate, she won't be here.
Katie won't be here?
No, she's with her mother.
Hope everything's okay.
So, too.
So, all right, we have minutes. Any issues? November 3rd, make a motion to approve November 3rd.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, so made the motion. We have a second.
Is my second?
Okay, we have a second. Sarah, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained.
Abstain. I
Okay,
didn't get a chance to look at it, sorry.
all right, how
So
about November?
you're abstaining?
December 1st, we all set with that one? Okay, Mike, do we have a motion for the 1st?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for December 1st.
Okay, do I have a second? All right, I'll second. All right, any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Abstain.
All right, well, that gets carried the next time.
I'll abstain as well. I wasn't at that meeting.
Oh, sorry, you weren't there, so,
I know, but
Okay, so it was,
no, it's,
unless it's not going to pass,
No,
then
it's
I.
no, just, it's not passed, doesn't go anywhere, it's 2-2, we just pick it up at the next one, when Katie's here, right? Not a big deal.
Let's.
I mean, by that time, John,
That's fine.
Okay.
So-
By then, I might have gotten around to reading it like
But
I
I
should
think,
have.
did John say he didn't?
you didn't
John
read
didn't
them,
read them.
Yeah, so,
so we're gonna pick that up next time?
yeah.
Okay,
All right.
all right. And next time, okay. 7 o'clock, zoning articles. Be quick, be gone, boys.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the planning
We're
board.
paying them overtime, I already told them that.
So this is picking up from our discussion on December 1st. At this point, from the comments at the last meeting, it decided to revise 2 of the articles, both the ones dealing with the 2-family and 3-family, removing that special permit condition, if you all recall, just based upon the comments that you had received. Also removed the proposal for multifamily, a change to that section of the table of use. In addition to that, the proposal for the in-law was also removed, and based on the conversations with this board of bringing back, or going through the zoning board of appeals to kind of hear their comments. Some of that direction from them was to go through the select board as their permit authority to ask for sponsorship. So that's why, based on that conversation, I revised my proposals down to 8 articles. At this time, just due to the time of the warrant, I'd like to ask the planning board if, one, if there's any additional questions or discussion, but also for sponsorship of those proposed zoning articles.
All right, we'll take them one at a time. Everybody got a copy. So, what was the first one?
First one is for the removal of subsection 2.7
yeah.
subdivision phasing.
Yeah, phasing. Yeah,
Yep.
that was, I think, my comment, that was a no-brainer. So,
Okay.
anyone else on that one, getting rid of it?
Support?
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
The next one was within the site plan review, section 13, subsection 14, dealing with appeals, changing the timeframe for the appeal from 30 days to 20 days.
And that, in accordance with the other stuff we had, right?
Correct.
And-
Yep.
Hey, no issues, anyone have any issues?
I have a comment. So it's having the appeal going to the ZBA, and I think, I mean, it's not
That's
just
where-
my opinion, but other people.
That's what it goes to.
Right, but that it's better practice to have the appeal go to land court instead of pitting one board against another or one board against the building commissioner.
But this
So-
is site
No.
plan, it's not.
But it's an appeal of a decision.
Yes, but in.
Yeah, they can still go to
the
land court
wording
after
is you first
zoning.
appeal to zoning, and if that's not satisfied, then you go to court.
I think
Oh,
we should try to avoid pitting a board against another board.
that's the way
my
it's always
opinion.
been, that's what they'll go through the building commissioner, and
Yeah.
also, they can skip the board if they want. They said they should go through, but you can. And it's to avoid any issues, that's all.
Because it's likely that this.
We've never had an appeal to date. I think,
Bancorp would send you back to zoning board if you haven't exhausted all your appeals.
but that, now that's changing the whole article. You just want to change from 30 to 20.
Yes.
So I got no issues with going from 30 to 20. The other thing's a whole nother kettle of fish, so to speak, but,
Okay, that's my comment.
okay. Anybody have any issues with going to 20?
Nope.
Oh, okay, we can always take that other one up next time. All right,
So the next one was a modification to the table of dimensional regulations specifically for highway business. Reduction of the side yard setback from 40 feet to 25, and an increase in the maximum building height from 45 feet to 55 feet, and from not more than 4 stories to not more than 5 stories.
Okay, and you recap it so everybody at home
Yeah,
doesn't
so
have this?
some of the rationale on this is just looking at the highway business district within Walpole is, it's an economic asset for the town having that highway access and that zoning. And so being more consistent with land use patterns and trying to think about future growth of that location, the marginal change to reduce the side yard as well as to increase the height could present more potential for that district.
Okay, what's the side yard going from?
From 40 feet to 25 feet,
And you're in a business zone anyway?
you're in a highway business zone anyway, yes.
Yeah, we got a lot that already exists that are right next to each other, right?
Correct.
Okay, and the 52 feet, and I'm doing this, I know we have it for everybody, if anybody's watching at home.
Or 55.
55.
55 feet?
55.
To 55, yes.
That's what's allowed under our building codes now.
So right now, 45 feet is the
No,
maximum.
not on highway,
Oh.
just, we have a cap of 55?
52.
It's actually
52 in the
52?
center.
Oh, so you're going beyond what's already in, you're
Just
not
to-
move, I thought last time, maybe I misunderstood, I thought you were gonna
Okay.
take it up to what we already have.
No, I just,
You wanna go a little bit?
a little bit higher just to account for what would be a 5-story building.
Okay.
And the fire department's good with that?
Yes.
Now, if I recall right, you were going to review a similar dimensional requirements with neighboring towns. Is that right?
So that went into my thought with the 55. So obviously our neighbors of Norwood and Foxborough have a higher threshold than the 45 feet that we have now. I did not feel that we needed to match the same height for Norwood, which is 65, so I felt this was a marginal change and something that wouldn't be too out of place.
What's Foxwell, 300?
Within Gillette, it's a little, I think it's like 85 or
As long
90.
as the fire department
Yeah.
doesn't have a problem with it
Yeah.
for safety reasons.
Yeah, and they're gonna comment on it if they already have, but, yeah, that would be brought up at the hearing if they do. Okay. Anybody have any other issue with that, or?
I'll just say that I support it. I think it makes sense to have our highest height along the highway business, and I think it's a good change.
Okay.
The next one has to do with table of use regulations 5B13M and 5B13N. And if you remember, this is for the garaging of vehicles within residential districts. So the proposal, so current language has it so that not more than 3 motor vehicles and including not more than 1 commercial vehicle in excess of 2-ton capacity. We looked at just kind of current practices and you know, most families have a little bit more vehicles now than when this bylaw was initially put in. And so increasing it from not more than 4 motor vehicles and not more than 1 commercial vehicle was the proposal for that change. And that's reflected in both M and N. So M has to do with the use where it's allowed by right, and then N has to do where a special permit is needed to exceed that.
Okay, and your reason was, well, 3-car garages,
Correct.
that, 30 years ago, there weren't, okay?
And I know when I walk around my neighborhood, I see some houses that have 4 cars, They have a lot of kids or whatever.
Yeah,
so-
they're not gonna be able to enforce it. The one question, do we define commercial vehicle?
So I guess we would define a commercial vehicle as exceeding 2-ton vehicle exceeding 2-ton capacity. I think we have the definition.
Yes.
It has commercial plates.
is commercial vehicle.
Yeah.
Commercial plate, in excess of 2-ton capacity.
2-ton?
Yeah.
All right, so
Or commercial plates.
so that's a pickup then. We're not talking a 10-wheel truck sitting in somebody's yard.
No.
So it's already defined, so that's, okay.
Yep.
Anybody have any issues with that? No?
Support.
There you go, you're on a roll. All right.
The next change had to do with the use for a two-family detached dwelling. The use here would just be mostly to remove the special permit requirement and to allow the use by right within the general residential district. This pattern just mostly reflects from the fact that we already have an additional requirement for increased land area for that use. And so by having that increased square footage requirement for the use of a two-family, it seemed kind of unnecessary to go through a special permit requirement and just have the use allowed by right in the only district that allows for that use.
I think it's a good idea to do. We certainly want to promote more housing, and why make it an extra step
Well,
of going to get a special permit?
And what Patrick said, they're already zoned for it, meaning
Yeah.
that, so why you making, you can do it, but why
Yeah.
you gonna need a special
Yeah.
permit? That's, goes back to the 80s, when someone didn't like what was moving in their neighborhood, and they stuck that in there.
Which one are we talking about right now again?
5B 1.3B.
That was up by Kyle's neighborhood. Tried to keep them out.
Question for you,
It was
Pat.
High rent district at one time, Jack.
Yes?
So if the lot doesn't have sewer, that means that it's not possible, right? Special permit or not? So it
Yeah,
has to be,
So in exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, just to echo what Phil had said, I think, we need to make it easier to build housing and, remove barriers that stand in the way and make housing more costly. So I support it.
And some of this may happen with the MBTA district.
What was that?
Some of this may happen because of the MBTA district.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a can of worms. There's a whole
To be
bunch of
seen.
possibilities
Yeah,
that
I
could
don't
go
That's
into
only
that.
a defined
Yeah,
area. This
yeah.
would
Yep.
be
Yeah.
beyond that.
Yep.
Keep it rolling.
The next one is similar change. This is just for three-family use, also going from a special permit to allowed by right. Same rationale. We already have a requirement for additional square footage to go along with that use, so making the use more accessible.
I would support this.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just,
You don't like it, John?
I don't like it, no.
Well, you can vote on it. We're only voting these in,
Yeah.
just so everyone understands, we're voting the wording he has, just to put it on the warrant. You can still, this can still be changed by us at the hearing, and you vote at that time, whether you're in favor, now, it doesn't matter. That's
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
recommendation, but Patrick has the wording, so we're kind of voting on, we're all set with, unless there was something glorious.
we
Wording's
want to
wrong.
vote on sponsorship as well.
Yeah, well, that's why we're gonna
Yeah.
vote in the articles of sponsor, but
Yeah.
if we had any issues before it got there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just wanted to say, so this is, just wanted to recognize that, so in the GR, the minimum lot size is 15,000, so this entry point is 30,000, so
It's a higher threshold
it's a higher
for that use, so.
threshold. Want to recognize that.
Yep.
I support.
That done?
One, I think we have actually two more.
Oh, two more, okay.
So the next change was to allow a parking scale for mixed use or mixed-use residential use within the central business district. This is that change to the parking code that added 1A. And so the rationale behind this is looking at recent developments that have happened there, Liberty Station, Union West. Obviously, the Gilmore's project is another future example. But just, growth patterns typically within transit-oriented locations have more flexibility of parking. You're going to have apartment style or mixed-use style developments, one bedrooms, studios. So having the two spaces per dwelling unit threshold is that one size fits all model doesn't really work within that location typically, just because you're dealing with smaller land area and usually smaller units.
So Pat, this would be governed though, not by the apartment building or the condo, by how many apartments they have, that, if it's one bedroom, they only get one? Or is it, that's just gonna calculate the number, and that's how many spots they would have, and then how they actually get used may or may not follow?
Yeah, so you're gonna have,
developer, yeah.
currently in the central business district, you don't have a parking requirement for commercial use, but you retain the parking requirement for residential use. That's still in place, it's just putting it on a scale from
Yeah.
essentially one parking space for studios and one bedrooms, 1.5 for two, and two parking spaces for three bedrooms. And so that would be rounded up to the next whole number. So when you have a larger development where there are multiple dwelling units, that's usually where that scale comes in.
And this is in keeping with what we've seen, because I know 1015 East Street, they're at 1.21 spaces per unit. Liberty East is 1.39, and 95 West is 1.22. The three large developments that just recently came in, so.
Yeah, it was interesting just even looking at this model and comparing it to those units. The calculations came out fairly similar, and so I would imagine that was some of the thought process going into what the development side did. The scale itself is something that I've taken from other towns, and that's kind of where the thought came with the scale being the way it's set.
Any other issues with that? Okay.
Can I just say, I support it. I think it's a good change. It's, you know, we've seen all the recent projects request parking relief. And again, that kind of process drives up the costs and everything. And sometimes it can even be like a barrier to development. Like if a developer looks and sees, you know, this project is going to require all this parking, they won't even get it started. So we hope that this will be good for Walpole. Yeah.
Yeah, and we want
I
to
support.
discourage how much asphalt we have and
Yes.
how many vehicles we have as much as we can. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a.
Yeah, down in the central business, we don't care about the residential we're going for.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different, yeah.
But typically, I guess the thought is living in that location, people will be commuting via the commuter rail
See how that
station.
all falls out once everything kicks in the real gear, and when we get some snow,
Understandable.
or where they're gonna park. Right, Carl?
All right.
All right,
The next one, it was proposed modifications to section 5D, specifically 5D3, activities allowed, and 5D4, activities requiring a special permit. This is for excavation or filling of earth. Essentially, we cleaned up the activities allowed section for residential. There was a few different thresholds in there, both 1 foot grade change, not to exceed 10% of the minimum lot area required for the within the zoning district. We just looked at the cubic yards and thinking of more realistically bumping that up from 100 to 200 for residential use, 150 to 250 for commercial use, and then making sure that the activities, the special permit required, those numbers were also changed to reflect the changes to the allowed.
I think it was good to take out the grade, at that low level of dirt, it's not really, you're kind of getting down to some details that probably don't really matter.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just trying to make it to be more practical and to obviously have that threshold set to a standard that I thought we had both agreed on, myself and Mr. Crowley agreed was probably more realistic.
that was put in for the simple reason, people, like I said before, they put up signs, clean fill, and they come in, you can dump 200 yards on the size of this table, and all of a sudden it's a big problem. That's why they put in, yeah, you wanna do 6 inches on your loam? Okay, that's fine, we're not gonna kill you on that,
Yeah.
but that's the reason for that, is you used to see signs all over town, clean fill watered, and someone just decides, and when they do it, the guy next to them would get flooded, and that's what the bigger
Yeah.
problem was, so. But my opinion, 50 yards ain't gonna make a difference.
It's not, and that probably isn't such a big problem, Jack. People getting clean fill.
No, they don't put the signs up
Nobody
there.
sees
This was,
signs, then who-
this is partially about just cleaning up the language of the bylaw and then obviously increasing the
Yeah, they don't
threshold a
define
little
what
bit.
clean
Who
fill
who
is.
would want to trust getting any kind of fill?
Yeah, you take the nails out of the
Yeah.
2x.
I have a comment.
Yep.
So I wasn't at the meeting when you presented before, but I know there was some discussion about, maybe is now the opportunity to add something for like excessive removal of earth. And
Yeah.
that may be something, a project that had, however we define excessive removal, that maybe that kind of project would require a special permit. And so I thought about it. I don't know if the board is interested, or, you know, something, but maybe we could do something like, you know, an average of 8 or 10 feet over the lot, or over the project, or something that we define excessive.
Well, this kicks in at 200 yards. So if they're gonna,
No,
right?
So
let's
I
say
believe with
hypothetically for a subdivision,
Yeah.
so nothing would kick in.
No, the subdivision, we only do the roads. The individual lots still come under this.
Right, but perhaps now is an opportunity to
Well-
add that.
I believe you're referring, so it would be under the activities requiring a special permit. So with the activities allowed, indicate for residential,
Yeah, I don't.
it's an incidental use, which is usually
Yeah,
allowed.
that's,
But some might argue what is incidental,
yeah, all right, so.
and where does it go
Anything,
off the
yeah,
rails?
well, that's fine,
So
so.
you're saying that if you
You're,
have,
you're flagging it so that someone doesn't read it, interpret, like if you're doing a big one. Okay, yeah, you could
you're
put
saying
it-
if somebody had 100
Something
house
in there.
lots, they could do 200 yards times 100.
Well, I'm not,
Or-
I don't know that, you know, I'm gonna say exactly what it should be, but
Yeah.
I think it's worthwhile, you know, take this opportunity.
Yeah, anything over 200 yards would be considered excessive and will be,
Well, but I
So-
mean, I like the idea of doing like a average foot, or like a percentage or something, because what if you have a big project and you remove that, then it's not that big of an impact, or if you have a small project and you remove.
So Mr. Carlin and I kind of discussed this beforehand. We didn't put this on for this time being just because I think at this point we had already presented it to you and didn't want to bring something new that wasn't already looked at. But in some terms of some sort of stopgap, you know, whether it's a threshold that is a kind of like an end-all be-all, like if it, I think how we, the state would calculate would be like a quarry. What is the definition of how much cubic yards would equate to that? That might be an option where it's like if anything were to exceed that threshold, then it would require a special permit as, you know, and even if the use was incidental.
but you are requiring over 200 yards, that's what it says.
No,
No?
not for a subdivision. A subdivision has been ruled not to require
No,
a special
it's-
permit.
No. A subdivision, the road is under us. Individual lots on a subdivision is part of the zoning bylaw. We only control the road itself, that's subdivision control. With us, if they design the roads, we give them approval, just like site plan. If a guy come in here and wants to chop down a hill or add a hill, that's all under our site plan. This would be an individual lot. So everybody of the individual lot would have to come before, regarding that.
Perhaps the building commissioner would like to weigh in on this, because I'm
So
on
that's the one we're trying to figure out at the moment. I played Carol once or twice about that. I want to talk to him about what's substantial, because the way our zoning is reading, if you move at the moment 150 cubic yards just to move soil, you trigger a special permit. If you move soil that's incidental to the primary project, so like say take a subdivision, the house is the primary. So if you move all the soil to the primary, the way our zoning is written is you do not need a special permit
Yeah.
by that. So you could move 200 yards or 2,000 yards, as long as it's tied in with the primary objective, which is a house or a multiple
But,
family.
Okay, well, I'll disagree with that fact, because if you're gonna take 2,000 yards out for a house, you're not taking it out just to put the house there, we know that.
Well, it depends. If you say if you're on the side of a mountain and you want to level the lot out, how much are you taking out? Do you need?
Now, we got the gorilla in the room. What's under there is what matters. If it was no good, no one's gonna take 2,000 yards out. If there's gold under there, they're gonna do it.
But our bylaw is written in a way currently that no special permit would be
Is
triggered.
required.
So what I'm saying is perhaps we take this opportunity
Fix it.
to
Just
fix
say,
it.
just say excessive.
Well, you got to
Well,
define
you have
what
to
that
define
means.
excessive.
So that's where we would kind of.
We want to
Substantial.
get the
That's
wording a bit
fairly
better
rare,
and
yeah.
Excessive
speak
over
to
200,
the likes of
yeah.
Carl, who's the town engineer, to say
All right.
what does he,
Well-
because again, he's more knowledge on that side than we do, and see what
I
would
would
be
be in
a-
favor of that. I think
level.
that's
Well, What you can do
Something that's
is-
missing currently.
We gotta get this on the warrant, so if you wanna move forward, and then the night of the hearing, you can add that or whatever. We can modify that, you understand, right?
yeah, I mean, I wasn't at the last meeting, and it was kind of briefly discussed, but
Yeah,
not,
back to
not
that
here,
fact.
so I wanted to mention
To,
it.
to your point, Mr. Conrad, that's exactly, if it moves forward, this is another opportunity to correct that for all these articles.
Yeah, it's just an ad at the public hearing.
Yep.
Okay.
But I would, you know,
Look,
be interested in
I guess
your
I'd call it
all's
like a
professional
stopgap,
opinion
almost.
on
Yeah.
how exactly to define that.
Yep.
in order to achieve the aims. I mean, it's my aim, I don't want to speak for everyone on the board, but I think
I
that's,
would agree with that, Dave.
I think
Yeah.
it's important to add to the bylaw.
Okay. And that is it. Those were the 8 that were before you.
Keep you here longer. Did you get everything you want?
I believe so. I guess, is there a vote that the board would want to take in terms of just
Yeah,
to
we'll
make sure?
make a motion to sponsor these articles.
Mhm.
Want a second?
Second.
Have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
So those can go on the warrant as is, and then that last one, we can take it up at the public hearing. But at least give us something ahead of time so we know what's up.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Could I just say one other thing? And that you mentioned that the in-law article is going to the select board. I
Correct.
just want to go on record saying that I think all zoning articles should be going through the planning board, and I think it would be inappropriate for the select board to do it, and I don't know why this board wouldn't want to do it or discuss it, or why the.
Well, as I led the charge saying, we have nothing to do with in-laws, it's 100% with the zoning board. I don't like to go into somebody else's sandbox and tell them how they should do it. So if they have issues with it, which they have had, let them correct it. I don't know anything about in-laws, I don't want to know, it ain't my job.
So the select board understands the zoning better than us?
No. It's going with the zoning board, who the zoning board can't sponsor an article, the selectmen can. So it's a zoning board article sponsored by the selectmen.
Yeah,
And
I think that's
I guess
wrong.
just to the typical process, if it
Well,
is
it's no different
sponsored.
than us sponsored through these guys, that's what we're doing here.
It is different. I mean, the planning board is the board in charge with directing the orderly growth of the town, and so the planning board should be the one, sponsoring and discussing and modifying zoning. That's just my opinion, but.
I would agree with that too, because we supposedly know how everything fits together, so that you're not just taking these one-off, zoning board changes. There's more of a sense of.
Well, if you recall history, this was sponsored by the previous building inspector. So, it was him, not the planning board. And we sponsored for him,
To do what?
this whole in-law thing.
Oh, well.
I know, you weren't here, were you? Was what's,
Yeah, I mean, I guess to your
so that
point,
was his, that came through, I can't remember his name. No, not Dave.
Yanovich?
Yeah, the two-time guy. Yeah, Mike Yanovich. He's the one that had us sponsored because they're having all sorts of problems with the zoning board. So he was the one, so it's kind of no different than that. That's my view, because if you use it all the time, I don't have any issues or any working knowledge of what that's about, and they come in front of them, so.
But having him come
I-
to us.
if
would-
sponsored by the select board, it still always refers back to the planning board for the public hearing process as well.
Yeah, I understand that. It just seems off, and I
Well,
wanted to state that.
as you know, Sarah, the selectmen can sponsor it, I believe the water and sewer can sponsor articles, and also any individual with 10 signatures can sponsor. So it isn't just the planning board, everything that comes through to get the zoning, it comes through us.
Sure, they could, but it's just a red flag to me that there's a zoning article being sponsored
When we
by the
discussed
select
it that
board.
night, it didn't seem to be, because they've been dealing
I
with some
wasn't
issues.
at that meeting,
Well,
so.
okay, well, that's the reason, is it's what they deal with, so.
Thank you all for your
Adios.
time.
Thank you.
Set the public hearing tonight.
No, first they gotta get it on the warrant. They may not put it on the warrant, that's still their opportunity. And they have to notify us so that we can do it, do you know what I mean? We can't have a public hearing on something that ain't on. You agree, you don't agree?
You could set it.
What?
Well, we don't want to run into a case where
No,
we don't have enough time to do the public hearing.
it's up to the, you can't put something
So you
on,
have to hold it within so many days of being noticed.
noticed by the selectmen, and I believe it's 65 days. 65 days, so they have to tell us they're putting it on. They may say no to 2 of them. We can't control that.
Correct.
So as soon as we get it, that's when it'll go on for 65 days, but they'll probably get it next week. Well, it's closing next week, so. All right. Okay. We'll have to 710, 24 Heidi Street, continued subdivision. Okay. I reviewed this and I found some spelling mistakes in all 300 pages of it.
Very hard not to
Well, the entire company's computer system went down when this thing came out. Okay, we have a continued public hearing, and just update, two things. One is, they already had submitted, I assume you made some changes to the waiver plan, and you do have a plan that shows without waivers, okay? And the thing that you said you'd do would be title, I think at the last hearing, we all, yeah, I figured that, is,
right?
we all come to the conclusion, town can't find anything, you can't find anything, what are we gonna do? And this is what you've done, and this is really for your protection, I believe, because you said nobody has title claim to it. So if we approve it, someone comes later, it's not our deal, it's yours,
Understood.
and I think,
And don't forget, you wanted me to assert that there's no mortgage on the property. You wanted,
Yep.
and I did
Yeah,
that in my correspondence.
okay, so that's, from the legal standpoint, we now have land that's able to go. The subdivision doesn't exist. The old one, well, it does on
Well, it
paper,
does.
but it's not bonded, it's nothing, and you have legal title to it, and Swanson's can convey it, part of it to Al.
And I think your counsel agreed with me that the proper procedure is the modification application.
Yep.
So that's good. So we're in the
Modify.
right place at the right time, I hope, legally.
Yep.
So with that said, do you want to hear about engineering?
What we should do first, Kyle buzzed out, I'll read the comments, but my view is we should go through the non-wavered plan to make sure it's all in conformance. As I said before, is if we find it's all in conformance, fine, we move on to the wavered plan. But if we find something amiss, and say you want to do a little curb change here, a waiver,
We can fix it.
yeah, so we just don't want to squeeze you out of the ability to do it. So,
Completely.
let me see what I got. Well, I'll read what we have here. Let's see, from Fire Department, reviewed the plans of 1221, and we have offered no objection to the proposed 26-foot wide roadway or the cul-de-sac in page 2 of 3. And we also had one back in September that they indicated that they showed a 12-foot, so you're gonna have to meet, I guess, on your waiver plan, everything that they wanted, correct? And,
Is that right, Jamie? You met with the fire department, right?
We did. We met with them, and I believe that we had worked out the issues after that letter was issued.
yeah, that was the first one, September.
Yep.
Okay, so he shouldn't have a problem with the non-wavered, because if he does, then we got a problem with everything. The next one is from, I'm sorry, Deputy Health Agent, and said Kyle came down and explained the difference. He mentioned that was going in front of the board. The Board of Health were not meeting, so I don't have any comments to provide, but they had already provided them before, so the plan is just basically changing the roadway. So what they had said back there, they'd like to reiterate their comments from September 20th. So that is what we have, and Kyle, town council, okay. The next one is from Kyle, and Kyle, as I was explaining, how we want to look at this is, we have the wavered plan and non-wavered. All right, so the non-wavered is, that would be the first thing to kick off, see if there's any issues, and if they have to be corrected, you'd have to correct them. I know they want to go with the wavered plan, but we want it, they got to make sure that's 100%, so if something on the non-wavered plan can't be done, you want to make sure it still can be done on the, on the wavered plan, you want to make sure it still can be done on the non-wavered.
Okay.
So is sheet 2 the unwavered plan? Am I interpreting that right?
That's correct.
And to explain once again, if you have a bunch of waivers and we say no to one of them, you want to make sure that he can still at least go back and it's on there and it's all set. But if it was a problem that you had that had to be corrected, we might be they would have to fix that one. Am I going around circle on you?
No, I understand, Mr. Chairman, and we did issue a letter on the 29th of December, and we noted a few things about the non-wavered plan,
Okay.
but I actually don't believe that any of them would be pertinent to the waiver plan. All right? because they're all pertaining to what he's showing on the non-waiver plan. And a couple of these comments are just a matter of process, you know, drawing granite curb and labeling, that's easy. You know, it showed a one lot and a drainage parcel, and I wasn't sure what the board's position would be on that with regarding two-lot subdivisions and whatnot. So I suggested the drainage parcel be labeled as Lot 2, but that's not a firm comment. And actually, I don't think the applicant's crazy about my comment about labeling it non-buildable. So, you know, these comments are open for discussion, but I don't believe any of them carry through to the, would carry through to the waivered plan.
Well, if I'm reading it here, it's just a matter of flicking the bic, so to speak. There's no design issues, as you said.
Right.
I mean, there's a fire hydrant should be located at the end
That's
of the-
easy.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing here that says the plan he's shown in accordance with our rules and regs cannot be built. It can.
Correct.
These are just your little tweaks, like a hydrant.
Correct.
Okay.
Carol, you're talking about the plan September 9th. Your comments from September 9th?
No,
No, 29th.
December 29th.
September 29th. okay.
September 9th would have been on the first version, I guess, of the submitted plan. And it's been a while.
Yeah.
So I've got you can have my memo if you want it, Phil.
Keep going.
Or I've got another one here. Anyway, there's a number of comments on there, and they're all essentially captured in the conversation that we've had, Mr. Chairman. They're solvable.
All right, now, what I will say, just for everybody to understand is, even though you want the waivered plan, we'll approve the non-waivered plan, but you're gonna put this stuff on there, so that it shows, someday someone picks it up and says, why isn't that on there? It's a simple thing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So even if you trash the waivered plan, you can still do it, so it would meet everything Kyle needs.
So one question, Mr. Chair, would you prefer that, is it okay if the drainage parcel remains a drainage parcel? I pointed out in there that that's not a buildable lot, and of course, it doesn't make any difference.
Where is it? Is it Kyle's property, Swanson's?
Yeah, who?
Our preference would not to label it.
So on this
Yeah,
side-
so I'll relinquish that comment, you don't have to execute it. If you want to note it as the drainage parcel as you have it on there now, let's leave it that way and not confound the issue.
Okay, the question becomes does that lot now still have frontage, even though we're modifying it? It doesn't. So it's a non-buildable lot, is what
It's a non-buildable
Okay, so
lot.
we'll just, is that gonna be, this is one other thing I wanna get straight, is that gonna be Al's property, that lot, or is Kyle Swanson?
We're proposing to buy and build here,
Yeah,
and we're also buying the other lots.
oh, you are, okay. All right, so the reason I'm saying,
No plans at
no,
present.
no, so now all the land's gonna be under one ownership then?
As we'll take the fee in the street as well, so that, because he owns the fee in the
The only
street.
thing because what I was gonna suggest, but since you're gonna buy it anyway, is you can put now a former Swanson, I assume, on the plan. Okay, because, and Kyle's still part of this as the landowner, okay.
Correct, we have a P&S agreement, and that.
Okay, that's-
Way
that's-
back when we first filed, that was a requirement
I-
to submit that, so you have that in your files.
All right, then label it like that, you can leave it or take it out, it ain't gonna affect anything, it's not buildable anyway. Now, since, I'm kinda take a little up, I'll start, anybody have any questions on the non-waived one? The one that he can build straight out of the book? John, do you?
So pages 2 and 3 represent the unwaived plan.
I believe that's correct.
That's correct, yeah. We also included in existing conditions, and I believe that one of the comments was to include the waivered plan set in the non-waivered plan in the waivered plan set. So what we did was we made 2 separate plan sets, and according to what appears to be note number 8, we'll combine those.
Okay, so this one shows a retention basin on the second unbuildable lot, we'll say.
Yep,
Is that basin still going to be there on the waived lot?
it will not.
Is that a necessity? Do we need that basin there to do its job. What's going to, I assume that the retention basin was there to hold back water. What's gonna happen to that water now?
Sure, well, so the waiver, one of the waivers, or several of the waivers, is actually some of the construction standards of the road. So we would be using much, much less pavement, and we would not be having the cul-de-sac itself. So the drainage requirements are much, much less.
Okay,
than
so the waived one will eliminate the actual surfacing of the cul-de-sac.
It'll get rid of the cul-de-sac altogether.
Okay, so you won't have the runoff running down to there. It'll be captured before it gets to that
No,
point.
there'll be much less runoff because there'll be much less pavement and no cul-de-sac.
Okay.
Any idea what the impervious cut is, percentage-wise? 50, 80, 20?
Oh, it's gotta be over 50%. I would say it's probably closer to 80%.
All right, so that doesn't necessitate having that basin there. Yeah, typically, we haven't had those when we shrink the road to the 20-foot mark, and I don't think we've had one yet, because it's not enough to really necessitate that, so.
They've also got stormwater management
Yeah.
shown on the lot, for the house itself
We've
as
already
well.
been
There's an
through
infiltrator.
stormwater. Okay.
Now, the health department's earlier memo referenced, prior to construction, proposed septic plan must be submitted to the health department. Have you already met with the health department regarding that then?
We did perks on site with them, and our design shows our intention for a septic, but no, we haven't filed an actual septic with them yet.
Okay.
Question is, you have to file after you get a building permit or before?
You'd have to file before you get a building.
So they, so they can't give you a building permit until they know they
That's
can do it?
correct.
Okay.
Okay, so that's,
That's
okay,
that's a way to
almost set.
That's the stop, yeah.
check and balances. Okay. You all set,
Yeah.
Phil?
So if you were to do the unwaivered plan, you would need other, you'd need to go to the Water and Sewer Conservation Commission. and-
We would
right.
trigger the disturbance.
You have to go through all
on it,
the.
Yes, we'd have to file with conservation, and yes. Yep. Yes, sir.
But I think it was mentioned that that was fairly wet on that part of Heidi Street, further in,
There's definitely plenty of wetlands over there.
wetland there, right? Yeah. I don't think I really have any comments then.
So,
Okay, so just looking at the non-wavered plan, I know you've talked about it, but so that lot where the drainage basin is, so does that become part of the other lot, or is it a separate lot? It's a subdivision lot that's solely used for drainage, or can you
So-
define it?
Right now, we're showing it as a separate lot.
Okay.
I believe that,
It's
like,
currently shown as a separate lot of the original subdivision.
Yeah.
So we
But it
just-
might be
We just
unbuildable.
mirrored those lot lines.
It is unbuilt.
But it would be unbuildable though.
yeah. Well, what they've
Sure.
done is, because this is a modification,
Yeah.
you have to, you can't change the lots. You can change how they look, but you can't. So that's why they're showing it like this, encroaching and showing the other lots. At some point, all lots can be gone. You can never do anything with it. Or you can just leave them on there. It doesn't affect you.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have contiguous lot issues, we'll have, a number of things.
Yeah.
And so-
You understand our intent is to build a house for Al.
Your intent is to build 8
Build
houses?
a house for my client, and the rest of it we're acquiring, but frankly, we have no present plans for the future.
Okay, I have another question, but so did I hear you're resistant to marking that as a not for buildable lot?
Well, yeah, I think we'd be resistant to that because if we could demonstrate that it is buildable at some point in the future, we obviously want to reserve that as a right.
So there's a
Engineers.
little, if, Chair, if you will, there's a little confusion.
Yeah.
I think the applicant's concern is that the current lot, the way it sits there without a cul-de-sac cut into it, would be branded as non-buildable because of this plan. This could very well get recorded with the approved set when we get that far.
I see.
So there's two different things, and said this plan that's up on the board will never be, it's there, I call it a proof plan, all right?
Okay,
But it will never be. However, it in all likelihood could go in with the set and create possible clouds on title if it was sitting in a subdivision set with a non-buildable note on it. That's why that conversation occurred earlier before, and said that's why I stated earlier that they quote-unquote weren't nuts about it. It potentially could cloud up the title. So I realized that in my own intention, I kind of applied A&R rules to the subdivision here and said, okay, let's just leave it as a drainage lot. I wanted to see what kind of input the board had as well. So I'm hoping that we can settle that thing, and I'm actually expecting them to leave it the way it is when they clean this up and it goes forward.
okay. So, but if the plan is to further develop, we should really consider that in this set. And also, we should look at the deputy chief's comments are, if the lots are to be developed, he is not in favor of the waivered plan. So we
Well,
need to.
Okay, if they get this approved, he builds one house, if he comes back a year from now and wants to build more, he's gonna have to go through the whole process again. Again, the fire chief's gonna get to say, I want 26 feet. It starts again. This doesn't grant them, because there's only one plan for one house. If they wanna do something beyond, we start the process all over again.
Correct.
Right, but the deputy chief specifically said if the lots are to be developed, we are not in favor of the,
Understood, but once this plan is approved and recorded, that's the only plan that exists. If they wanna do something else, they gotta refile another plan and come back in front of us, and then it goes through the whole process again.
okay. Personally, I would like to hear from the deputy chief regarding the waivered plan, with you explaining to him that your intention is to develop 8 lots.
Did you say 8 lots?
I thought that's what you said.
No,
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
One, yeah.
A lot. Okay, where is the the lot?
Just this one, right here.
Oh, I thought you, okay.
No.
I thought all of a sudden the change to 8 lots down Heidi Street, okay.
Just a single house.
Just the single, and that's the full
That's
plan?
the full scope of what's in front of you.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we were asked to bring in essentially a by right plan.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what- that's what this
I
is.
heard
Yep.
8 lots, and I thought everything
Oh, no,
changed
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, just
tonight,
Apologies,
so.
no.
Okay.
Just a single.
Okay, that's different then. Alrighty. So for the waivered plan,
Well,
yeah, I don't have any issues.
Okay, you're all set with that, okay. Well, you guys would have been all set if you made the motion for 8 lots. You'd be running out of here.
We almost stuck it up.
Actually, while the door's open, why don't you do that?
Okay, so now, can we go back to the original plan that's wavered? And have you done any updates since our last?
So our last meeting, if I recall correctly, we kind of got shut down because of the legal aspect.
That was 2 meetings ago, actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was the last meeting that I was.
Okay, you've presented this at least once,
We did. I
maybe
think I
twice.
presented twice with
Okay,
some revisions.
now I am looking, Kyle, did you have comments for this? All I got is at least what was given to me, unless it's
The
buried.
comments for the
The waiver plan.
The waiver
wavered plan?
Yeah.
You, Comments on that?
So has the wavered plan changed since we last saw it?
No, so we're
Okay,
back.
so I did have comments
Yeah, you
on
had,
that.
okay, that's right, that's why I
Yes,
asked.
This is the plan from September 1st?
Yes, so the September 9th
Okay,
one
good.
that you have, Phil, would have been the comments I wrote for that, I believe.
That's
For the
why I
September
asked,
1st plan.
is if he's done any changes. So since your comments and his, nothing has changed, we're just a few months down the road.
Yeah, we've done
Exactly.
one set of revisions on the waiver plan. And at that point, we've now done the by right plan.
Okay. So, for us to recap, and the waivers, so everybody here knows what the waivers requesting.
Sure. You asked us, one of the questions was to put it on the plan set, so it's
Yeah, we like to have it there, so if someone picks it up, they know what happened.
So we're asking for a waiver from section 4C, requiring a cul-de-sac on a dead-end street.
Yep.
Section 4D, requiring cul-de-sac on temporary or unfinished dead-end streets. 5-6, A through C, regarding roadway construction. Section 5.7 regarding curbing, 5-8 regarding sidewalks, 5-9 regarding grass plots, and 5.12 regarding street trees.
Okay. Okay, now, you're all set, Kyle, with this plan?
The waivered,
The waivered plan,
the
yes.
waivered plan, I haven't looked at that in quite a while,
But
so.
I'm saying, you had looked at it in the
Yeah.
comments? I don't know if I...
Yes, I did. I don't have the comments for the waivered plan with me. I can get them.
Yeah, we might want, it would definitely have to have them.
And this is the September,
Yeah.
you want this? I
Oh,
got
you
it.
have it, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
How much?
Might be in Kate's package.
No, it's not.
No?
Okay,
So I spelled
You
it
wanna-
on the application, too.
read them, Kyle, because we're gonna need those. See what's,
Is that the right one, Carl?
if it's September, it would be.
Yeah, September 9th. Yeah.
Yes, that is the correct one. So my September 9th memorandum was based on a resubmission, which is the plan, I think, that Mr. Bissonette has up. And on this plan, I'd recommended the planning board endorsement block be shifted to the lower right corner, and I don't know if you've done that. It hasn't. So, I recommended that the waivers be as noted in this memorandum, and it's hard to do a comparison whether what you just had on your cover sheet is the same as what's here. I suspect this is a little bit more thorough, but it may be the same, you can tell me, all right? But it needs to be changed to that, all right? And,
What is that you're changing?
the listing of the waivers. I wasn't actually prepared to go through this plan right now, so I really don't know where we are on this. What date is that plan?
This is 8/31/2022.
So that's the one I reviewed.
Rest of August.
Of August.
So essentially, the comments in this letter would need to be applied to the non-waiver plan, to the waivered plan, before it could be endorsed. I made a comment on the roadway cross-section,
That's what he's reading.
and I've asked that some existing drainage be added to the plan and shown. I've asked for a few changes on the details on there to get 3/4 inch crushed stone around the pipe. Those are basically technical comments. Street sign will need to be provided. And then we've asked that Heidi Street, a note be added on sheets 1 to 4, noting that Heidi Street is not intended for public acceptance and shall remain a private way. And I've asked for a drafting change on how the plan and profile is shown.
You just want them flipped with the plan, one on top of the other?
Sheet 4, plan and profile should be below the plan view of the road. Yeah, I like the plan view, yes, I don't like it to the side like that. That's not a big deal, that's a matter of presentation. The world isn't gonna end if that stays like that. So, but I do like them underneath, if you can do it, fine. If it jams up your drafting, then I can relent on that. So really, there's a bunch of drafting comments and whatnot involved with this last review that are not all that difficult to clean up. If you do, I recommend we take a look at the plans before we go for another resubmission, so we don't end up in this process endlessly. I'm not sure where you want to go with this, Mr. Chair. I've also recommended, there's some, and I don't have the original memo, but I've recommended that there's some items on there for conditions of approval. That was my original review memo had stated them. So the bottom of this one said items 16 to 19 could be included as conditions of approval. If you're gonna move in that direction, I guess I better find that memo.
Well, if we go that way, we can always just, in accordance with your,
I have it.
okay. Well, I gotta ask you guys, since Kyle if we go for it and we say, all right, you gotta do it all in accordance with his letter of 9/29, and I assume you've already seen that, all right, is there anything on there that is not doable?
So we have it in our hands here.
Yeah,
As
you
read
should have
from
had it for a while.
Yeah, we've had it.
So my point is, if it's only
There's nothing on it.
changing title blocks and everything else, nothing on there is enough to,
As the engineer indicates, I think it's all
house,
drafting.
well, would you call it a housekeeping?
items.
It's the stuff that Carl was just going through, some notes to the plan, updates, some waivers, the way he reads them.
Oh, the
The
plan we
waiver
are
plan,
gonna
the
build.
one the one you're looking to get approved. So,
There was no problem.
okay, so
All
yeah,
right,
we
so
have no problem.
we had no engineering issues with that, okay. Sarah, do you have any questions, comments relative to the waivered plan?
Sure. So the roadway width that's going to that lot, what's the width of that road?
The traveled road or the right of way
The traveled road,
will be 20 feet.
20 feet paved.
No, it'll be 20 feet overall, it'll be, I believe it's 12 feet of pavement with 3 feet of, is it, no? It's 20 feet paved now? I'm sorry, 20 feet paved.
I think that's what the fire.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I think the fire chief, the deputy fire chief
Yeah.
requested that.
Insisted, yeah.
So in that case, Mr. Chairman, one of my comments asked for that road to be 14-foot paved with 3 foot of crushed stone on each side. That would be similar to a couple of other reduced standard roads that we've done. So we would have to yield that comment, and it would have to become pavement. Whether you provided the crushed stone along the shoulders or not is another topic, but it probably wouldn't hurt.
Okay. So 20 feet paved.
If you have to.
And then, that's fine.
Here are the conditions he is referencing.
Can you come up here, though, so we can, people at home can hear you?
It's been precedent that it's 14 feet and 3 and 3?
No, he wanted that. Fire department wants 20.
No, I know what the fire department wants, but he said it's been precedent. I thought that's what you said. You've done it.
We've done 20s, we did it up, we've done it everywhere. It's always 20. They win.
I thought, did I hear it wrong?
No, I think we have seen that, but I
I don't know
think
where. We didn't, the last one,
Recently,
Baker
it's all been
Street.
20,
No, Baker wasn't.
That was 20?
the last many
Baker
years.
and up off of 109. What's his name's there?
Shawaki, El Sarabi?
Yeah, that was the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely, yeah.
Each.
Yeah, we've had people propose 14 and they want their 20. So they win.
I have one other question. The by right plan. So I was reading the town council memo, who said that this subdivision is still in effect today. And the reason that we had to do the by right plan was so that if the waived plan didn't get approved, there was a plan to fall back on.
Correct.
But isn't that the by right, isn't that the plan that's currently, in the opinion of town council, still in effect today?
No, because that plan is now stale. The zoning protections under the original subdivision have become stale.
Yeah.
I think that's what he says in his memo. And I think we concur.
Yeah,
with
and
him on that.
if you go back, even if you went back to that, I think back there was 26 feet. I don't think they've changed much in the roadways since the 70s. The only thing that's really changed.
So what happens to that plan?
Which plan?
The plan that's, I read, is still in effect.
You're modifying it. So by modifying it, this becomes on top of that one.
But you're not building all those lots, which is why we have to make sure that there's a cul-de-sac or a turnaround or,
Got it. Thank you.
okay, and then to confirm, the plan is the one lot and no future plans to develop Heidi Street
Correct.
Today.
this time, today.
Today.
But potential future plans in the future,
Everything has a potential. Today, it's this one lot.
okay?
I don't want to come back in here and say, yeah, I'm alive. So today I'm telling you that this is what I want to do. Most likely, it's all I want to do.
Yeah,
But at some point, I'm gonna sit with my engineer. Now that I have possession, I had to take possession of the whole thing, because Kyle wants nothing to do with this anymore. So now I'm stuck with it.
okay.
So my intention was just to build one lot. But now I'm on the hook for this whole place. And I haven't had time to analyze it or do anything.
Okay,
So I don't want to sit here and represent to you that I won't ever be back here.
okay.
Just want to be honest.
Okay, sure, appreciate that. Okay, and I think maybe I mentioned this in a previous meeting, but the locust plan, if you could revise that, it's very unreadable.
If you
Black.
don't get the original color, then it comes through. So the 11 by 17s, after they're scanned and stamped, I'll just have to get you color ones.
Okay.
That's the by right. That's
Okay.
not a problem.
And that's fine. Yeah, those are my main comments, thank you.
Phil?
Yeah, the only other thing I have is just making sure, that all of the requirements that Deputy Fire Chief had in his September 13th memo are being carried out. Some of those are really on us. And then, so would the plan be for him, he would back up or turn into the driveway? Is that his without the cul-de-sac?
So,
If he drove down the,
So what we did was, when we met with them, the plan is to have a turnaround right before the driveway.
Oh,
And then
okay.
you'll have the ability to back up.
Okay.
So you'll have
Yeah.
the designated, because he doesn't want to have the chance of something being parked in the turnaround. So the driveway to him wasn't a practical solution. So we wanted something next to it.
but he met with you and he's.
We met
he was-
at his office,
Yeah, and he's good with, okay, yeah, I just want to make sure of that. Okay, I don't think I really have anything else.
Okay. Anyone from the audience have any questions, comments? If you do, come on up. Okay.
So just to clarify, I'm Dan Cesario, 11.
Come to the microphone.
I'm getting out of your way. That's all right. So I'm Dan Cesario, 11 Carl. So just based on the plan, I would be, I guess, directly behind. So I'm just to clarify, this plan, is this the plan that's on the table, or is it the one with the cul-de-sac?
This plan
Either
is on
one.
the table. Well, if we grant it with waivers,
Okay,
this would be the plan he's looking for us to grant.
okay. And so there's no guarantee then, in the future then, that if you're changing the rules in a sense to allow this to be built, in essence, are you going to allow the rules to be changed, like he says, in using his words, in the future, 5, 10, whatever?
That would be a whole new plan.
A whole new
You have the
plan.
ability in this state to file whatever you want.
Okay.
But you've got to conform to the current rules and regulations.
Right.
So if he decides that some way, can figure a way around all the wetlands, and he knows he can build the lots, then he'd be back in here, but at that point, he wouldn't be able to do the driveway type like he's asking, he'd have to do a full build-out, because we don't allow that,
Right,
so.
okay. I mean, that was my question, I guess, just with the rest of the road, what happens
Well,
with?
You live down there, those wetlands are gonna be there long after.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean,
Everybody's
just with all
gone.
this rain we've gotten in the last couple of weeks, I mean, it's a
So it's
swamp.
designated as a wetland anyway, whether it's got water on it, because you've seen the little
Right.
tapes they put out there.
I just wanted to clarify, because with the drainage in that revised version, I guess, that drainage pond or drainage
Yeah.
parcel,
And you're uphill from them, right?
what do you consider uphill? Yeah, I mean.
Your water drains to him.
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
not coming back
Yeah,
at you.
but I mean, if if there's a ditch that's, I guess that was my question too, if there's a ditch that's being dug to catch that water, how far or how close to my property?
They've already gone through the process of stormwater management, and they've got approvals based upon what they've showed for not only the waiver plan, but for this one too.
Okay.
And the rules are, pre-runoff has to equal post-runoff, meaning they can't add anymore, they have to take it away. And I tell you, doing this forever here, typically, you're taking more off than you never come even. You're always way better, because it seems to take more in some of these drainage basins and stuff.
So is there a time frame for all this to happen, or?
For him to build,
Yeah, I guess so, just,
if he gets his approval, it's up to him.
It'll be new technology will make it land move.
yeah. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep. All right. There's no questions, comments? Okay. All right. We should vote the waivers first. Okay? We can do them one individual, or we can do them all at once. Does anybody have a preference?
I'm good with all at once.
Okay.
We can do them at once.
It's basically,
What was the one on the curbing?
yeah, no curbs, because we require curbs at the entrance, curbs at the cul-de-sac. He's not doing a cul-de-sac, and even if he's going to the waived plan, he's not having curbs. It's just a driveway.
Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure that the waivers that will be read in are the ones Mr. Bolduc provided in his memo that we're going to update on our plan,
You know what those were, Kyle?
They were on that memo that Phil has.
Yeah,
the
these are good.
September 9th. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
A few more.
Yeah, there's quite a few, because they've got streetlights,
Whoa.
Yep.
yeah, the soil test pits, dead
Yeah.
end street.
Okay.
So some of the ones that before were because of the deputy fire chief.
Dead end, okay.
Dead end, but
All right, the back one, thank you for this. Okay, ground spot, street trees. All right, section 3-17, street lights. No street lights. 3-1-C8, impact DIS waiver. Section 42C, dead end street, be constructed without a cul-de-sac. Section 4-5-H, waiver from soil test pits. 4-6, drainage system and waive entire section.
Can we just pause? So Carl, you're okay with no soil test and waiving the entire drainage system? Okay.
Okay, standards, 5-1, allow the subdivision to be constructed without strict compliance with all standards and specifications. Roadway width to be allowed to be less than 26 wide. He put 14, but we're gonna change it to 20 for the Walpole Fire Department. Section 5-6A, roadway width to, I'm sorry, I just read that. 5-6B, roadway cross-section, allow it to be constructed as shown. And then we got into the 5-7 curbs and gutters, and 5-8, no sidewalks, 5-9, no grass plots, 5-12, street trees, and that's everything you had, Kyle, I believe?
I think so.
Okay, plus, so this adds to it, so,
so you want to make sure you have all these on your plan.
Yes, and we've agreed to add those to the cover
Okay,
sheet.
yeah.
thank Kyle.
I am thanking Carl. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody, we've gone through them, anybody have any questions or comments? I'll just make a motion to grant waivers to, as indicated on Kyle's September 9th, 2022 memo.
With the adjustment to
With
20
the, yeah,
feet.
with the exception that the road will be 20 feet in lieu of 14 feet per the requirements of the Walpole Fire Department. So make
Second.
that- That's a motion, the second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? All right, the reason I did it like that is so that Kate has something to do. You can use this, Kate, right?
Do you want this, Kate? I have a
Okay.
copy of it.
Now,
Turns out.
we're gonna have to approve the conventional plan, okay? And my special comment, because we're gonna get a combined decision, and my special comment we have to put in is that the comments of the town engineer be put on the plan prior to endorsement. Okay, so those were those little adjustments. You all set with that, Kyle?
Yes.
And,
With the exception of the note about the buildable lot.
yeah, with the exception, you got that, Kate?
With the exception of the note of the buildable lot.
Yep. Buildable,
Or non-buildable.
okay,
Both.
No, we don't want the non-buildable note.
okay.
We want it to remain as it is.
And for the waivered plan, that, we'll take Kyle's requests that they all be put on prior to endorsement. And,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
can we add also the deputy fire chief asked for Year-round maintenance, snow removal of the roadway and turnaround required.
What's the date of that, Sal?
That's September 13.
Okay, I had my last one, all comments per Walpole Fire Department, I'll put 9/13/22.
Okay,
All right,
and I thought that he asked for a sign.
fire truck?
No, like a no parking sign in that fire, where is that? Let me keep looking, but if you already have to incorporate
Yep.
the deputy chief's
Okay, and
comments, that's
we'll-
fine.
All right, we'll add that to that decision, so I'll make a motion right now to approve the conventional plan,
Second.
okay, with all our added conditions. I have a second.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I'll make a motion to approve the wavered plan as shown with all the comments.
Second.
Second from John. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
That was 2 seconds, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, and per our rules and regs, you gotta do it within 60 days to seek endorsement after approval. When you get our, what do you call it, decision, not tonight, but whenever.
So we'll get those revisions to you for approof, to make sure you're satisfied that everything what you want on the plans is done. Once we
That
get-
can happen,
Yeah, you can do that.
have a lot of time, you have time to do that. The chair is indicating that you just have to keep track of the time to get it endorsed.
Okay.
Yeah, so once you get the decision, you're gonna come back within 60 days for us to sign off.
Excellent.
But what you're saying makes sense, you wanna go and give the dry run,
Satisfied, make
and
sure-
say, here, do
yeah.
you like these? And if he says fine, that's when you bring the Mylars to us for endorsement.
Great.
All right, done?
Thank you so much.
How long does it take to get the decision?
Depends how nice you are. Gee, checks in the mail, huh?
I know who I'm not paying.
That's what I mean. I don't know, it wouldn't be this week, probably, how long, Kate?
I'm sorry?
When will this decision, end of next week, probably?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You still got the 20-day appeal period part of that, too.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. We have the next one on tap,
Thanks, John.
931 Main Street. Site plan, continue hearing, 22-04. And, oh, we have a few items. Before you get up and ready to rock and roll, I will read any of the newer comments. And the only comment I see that's new other than Kyle's, excuse me, is the Whipple Fire Department. This is dated January 3rd. The swept pass analysis indicate the site will provide adequate access to egress, the minimum of 13'6". The no parking and no standing sign will need to be posted on the egress road between 905 and 923 and 931 Main. This needs to be on the plans. The queuing of the southbound traffic of the light may negatively affect and block the Main Street entrance with the activation of the Opticon traffic control as emergencies vehicles arrive. So that's read and noted. And Kyle, if you want to do yours? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I did provide a memorandum to the board dated December 27th, based on the latest information submitted. We had very few comments. There were 4 comments on the plan review relating to details, indicating that there's a revision to the legend to add sheet C8 details that wasn't on the set. The sheet's in the set, but it wasn't on the legend. We've noted that the existing condition stamp plan must be stamped by a registered land surveyor. There's a revision to the parking label on sheet C2. It's a leftover from the previous layout, so we want the number of spaces on the west side to indicate 13, not the 12 shown on the sheet. And there's a small typographical error on sheet C3. We want to change USE to USA. That's in reference to the cast iron frames and covers. And then I've noted some recommendations for special conditions, which I believe have been embodied in a draft decision. The only thing I note is the applicants agreed to furnish some funds to assist us in retrofitting the pedestrian call buttons and signals at that intersection, and they have suggested in a draft decision that it be, the timing be with occupancy permit. We need to do this right away. I spoke with Mr. American before the meeting, and he can speak to that issue, but I think we've come to an agreement on changing the timing,
Yeah, the applicant's willing to furnish the check prior to endorsement.
which is, I very much appreciate that.
Which has nothing to do with our site plan, though.
Nonetheless.
Because it has zero.
Okay.
It doesn't. I mean, we can't rule on that. That's up to their gift, maybe a write-off, and maybe municipal bribery. What else would you call it, Colin?
Assistance.
Shakedown?
Assistance.
Okay. Where we were last time, I think the biggest thing we had, Dan, is everybody wanted the entrance to come off of Main and sweep around. I assume that's, we got it now?
Yeah, so we submitted a plan revision. The big change was we reversed the flow of traffic. In doing so, we actually gained an extra space, so now we have 18 spaces. So now, assuming this plan is acceptable to the board, we can withdraw our special permit request with the zoning board. We made a number of very minor changes based on comments from the engineering department. I did prepare a draft decision in case you're ready to act on it, suggesting that we could make the few remaining changes prior to endorsement if the board's okay with that. But if you guys have any questions about the revised site layout, I'm happy to answer that before I turn it over to Phil. But it's basically, we have one way coming in with an enter here sign, and then we have one-way circulation through. We have a no left turn sign, a do not enter sign, obviously, coming in here. So that's basically a right turn only out.
Okay. Anything else on the plans you need to show us? Or you
I don't, the only other thing that I added that you might find of interest is in the front, I added a patio, a paver patio area with 2 benches.
I
Just
want to thank you for that, but
to
I
provide
never
some-
mentioned that.
some
great.
some
thank you
common
for
public
doing that.
amenity.
Yeah, no, that was noted right away.
I'm just thinking someone's gonna come out at midnight from Conrad's and
It's a good place to sit if you need a moment.
it's too bad PD's wasn't there. Good place to sit. But that's gone too. Okay, so is it, because Phil has a few things he has to do, but before you sit down, Dan, go make sure, Sarah, do you have any plans from Dan?
Of course I do, yeah. Okay. So I like the flow better. I think it's better. You gain the spot. That last spot is not dangerous, which is definitely an improvement. I wanted to ask, I believe the deputy fire chief had asked for an area to be kept like no parking or no standing.
You just want signage added here
Is
through
that on the
driveway.
plans?
So I would suggest it in our draft decision that we would add that prior to endorsement.
Okay, okay. And then I had asked previously about the breakdown of commercial space versus residential, and I think you were gonna get that.
Phil's
for me.
going to speak to that.
Phil's got it, okay. And then I had asked about the East Street elevation, if there was any adjustments you could make to increase the transparency, like add more windows or anything.
Yeah, and I didn't come away from that conversation that anything really was a good idea since it's a stairwell.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
So that's kind of where we left it. I
Okay.
don't know if that's something you feel strongly about. I don't know that adding a window and a stairwell is going to add a lot of aesthetic interest.
Yeah, I mean, that front piece is basically all window, which
It
is
is,
very
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
So, okay, that's fine. 12 spaces to 13. And then I just wanted to highlight, I think Katie asked last time for a one-way sign at the entrance.
Yeah, that'll
Is
be,
that prior to
it is on the
endorsement?
plan.
It is, okay.
Yeah, but we'll make sure all those signs are added to the endorsement set.
Okay. And then, are you planning to restrict the parking for the residents only? And if so, do you need any signage for that?
I don't think they will necessarily. Again, we have 9 one-bedroom units, so they're not going to need 18 parking spaces for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I-
whether the owner decides to, tag spaces, I don't know that they will. They may not do that unless it becomes problematic for the residents. So it's more of an operational thing that
Okay,
I'm not sure we can really define at this point.
okay, that's fine. And you were going to think some about having like a delivery space or some kind of designated space?
Yeah, well, we were looking at, this is a space, it's not quite big enough to be a parking space, so I can't note it on the plans as a parking space, but, there's room there, and we do have, the driveway through this is 20 feet wide, there's a lot of room here, and there's a lot of, for 9 one-bedroom apartments, there's a lot of parking spaces, so
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be plenty of room for your Amazon trucks and your UPS trucks and whatnot.
Okay, so that space in front of the trash is gonna be paved?
This is paved, yeah.
Okay. And they may find it on their own, those trucks?
Maybe so.
Okay. Is it shown on the plan that you have landscaped greater than 10% for the parking, so it's required because of the number of parking spaces?
I do not have a note to that effect, but I can add a note to that effect.
Okay, okay. But yeah, I do like the improvements to the landscape. The benches are great. It's really important for a downtown to have places for people to stroll and sit, and so I think that's excellent. And then I just wanted to highlight something that John mentioned earlier. He asked about lighting under the building, so the parking,
There will be lighting under there, under
Okay.
that overhang.
okay. And is that on the plans, or that will be added prior to endorsement?
Well, I don't know, that's like an architectural element that would appear on the building permit plans, so I don't know, that's all just downlit underneath the building, it wouldn't even,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
just, we need to ensure the safety of pedestrians and to make sure that it's
So you could
lit
add a
and-
condition that requires that there be adequate lighting underneath the parking overhang?
Okay. I would like that. And then just to comment about the blade sign.
Yeah.
It looks like it's projecting, like the size of it is like 4 feet, 10 inches or something, which is slightly over what's in the bylaw.
Okay, I'll have to check on that.
I don't really think is a big deal, but I did want to highlight it.
I mean, they can't put a sign in that doesn't comply with the bylaw, so.
Yeah.
If they have to make it a little bit smaller when they get to the building permit stage, that's what they'll do.
Okay. But yeah, I appreciate it. It's a good plan, good changes. No other comments.
All set? Okay, Phil?
Yeah, and I also want to thank you for putting in the bench and that space right there. 'Cause it is important to have places where people can walk, makes our downtown a lot more friendlier, so I think that's really good, and I'm so pleased that you did add that. I don't think I have really anything additional other than just to recognize, that you really followed through on all the issues that came up at the last meeting. And the other one, I believe you said for the snow removal, I think there are spaces, and then you're just gonna have trucks, you would truck out.
Yeah, there's a note on the
Access.
plan, and you have a standard condition that basically says,
Yeah, you have to
if
truck.
snow exceeds available capacity, you have to haul it off-site.
So I think it'll be a nice addition to downtown, so a nice design. So thank you.
John, questions regarding the plans itself for Dan? And then when Phil speaks, we'll talk, whatever else we got.
Well, following up on what Phil's comment, was there someplace listed as snow storage on here that I'm missing?
Yeah, we have some snow storage identified here. There's actually a little room in this corner that I haven't shown on the plan,
Ah,
but
I
there's
see it
room
now.
there for snow storage.
Okay,
And technically, this could be used for snow storage if it needed to be.
Being a covered parking lot, you won't have as much snow either.
Right, the amount of parking area that
Lucky
receives
people
snow
on the
is
road
a lot
have
less.
cars.
It's the Carolinas, we don't get snow.
Push it to
Not
Con-
anymore.
Push it against Conrad's.
Push it against contrast.
They'll lose their
It's
easement.
too bad that we don't
It
have.
will
a-
be, I can see that
It's too
coming.
bad we can't do more of a development on that corner.
No other comments at this time.
All right, you all set, John?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Mackey's turn.
All right, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Phil Mackey, 1256 Washington Street, Norwood, Massachusetts. Council Ford on behalf of the applicant. At our last hearing, you gave me two pieces of homework. And I'll go with I actually think they're both relatively easy, but I hand this to John because you were the one who actually asked the question about the easement itself. And that is for the board's files. I have two, so I can give one to folks to share as well. Basically, in 1940s, a woman whose name I'm forgetting immediately, but nonetheless, bought the entire corner by the name of Mary E. Cummings. And you can see from the plan in front of you, basically Lot B and Lot A are what she initially bought. She owned the entirety under herself, and in 1950, when this plan was created, she deeded out Lot A and created a passageway on her property for the benefit of both Lot B and Lot A. And as you flip through, I highlighted in all of the deeds where that easement exists. You can see it basically in the second deed going all the way through up until and including the deed from Donnell's father into 931 Main Street Realty Trust. So that basically is how the easement was created and how we have rights to use that 18-foot passageway in common with others for all uses that passageway is normally used in Walpole.
And who actually owns it?
It is owned by Mr. Goldman and his trust, we believe, but as deeds are now being referenced as by the passageway, arguably the derelict fee statute could come into play. So as that becomes a very arduous legal undertaking, I haven't gone and dotted all the i's and crossed the t's to figure out beyond we have the right to use it. If it's something the board really wants us to do.
No, I'm just curious.
But much like a lot of things that happened over half a century ago, it's not exactly as clear as you might like. But both parcels absolutely have the right to use that as a passageway, driveway, however you want to frame it.
So just a simple summary, you're not encroaching any further than already exists.
Correct.
So what was done back then is continued on.
Exactly.
If it's something someone would have complained by now,
Yes,
and you run the risk.
correct. And then the second question, Mr. Conroy, you asked was about the calculation. Sarah, you also, I believe, asked. This I have enough for everybody. I actually have consulted with the building commissioner. Ordinarily, he's not standing here to speak for himself, so I'm going to steal a little bit of his thunder. But we'll defer to him just in case I misconstrued things. But basically, we took a look at the zoning bylaw and the strict construction of the use table. And basically, the table of uses allows you, and for you too, I feel a lot of trees for this one. It allows you 3.5 times the square footage of the commercial gross floor area, with the caveat that the residential use has to be above the ground floor, it cannot be on the first floor. So if you parse this apart, as far as the commercial use, there is no restriction where in the building that can be. So you could have it all on the first floor, you could have first and second, you could have it first, second, and third, however you want. And you're allowed, under our interpretation of the bylaw, and I believe Mr. Crowley agrees with us, that that sum is your commercial gross floor area. And you multiply that by 3.5 times, and that gives you the square footage, what you're allowed to use for residential use. With the caveat being is that residential use cannot be on the ground floor. And that's part and parcel of how we got to where we are, and we believe, and Jim, I'm speaking for you a lot, but I believe the building commissioner agrees with our interpretation that this is a compliant use for the CBD.
I thought you stayed just to watch our meeting. If I known that, I would've put you guys dead last. All right, so you answered the question, there's nothing that says where the commercial can go, it just says where residential can go.
Correct.
And the residential can't be on the
First floor.
first floor.
Ground floor is actually what it says, but
Ground floor. Now, going a little bit beyond just an interpretation of future is, like over at Cleveland's, you got the ground floor, but you also got down below. Would that considered basement floor, or do you only consider one floor the commercial? For residential.
the residential says it has to be above the ground floor. So I guess theoretically, if you had a basement, you couldn't put it below the ground floor, because that
All
would
right,
be.
so that's, okay, so it's always gonna be one floor above the lowest.
Yes.
Forget where it's ground or basement, it's just has, okay, that's for my own edification. All right. We answered that.
On a similar subject, if the commercial was in the basement floor, would that allow?
I don't think it would, because
The
you
ground,
would
I think the
still have.
Because it
ground
said
is on the ground,
Yeah.
is
Okay.
not in the basement.
Yes.
Yeah.
The intent is for the commercial to be at street level.
Yeah.
And anything else is above?
Right.
And that's for good reason, because you want to have commercial, you want to have storefronts, you want to have people, shopping in your downtown area, so,
The reason I asked is the parking lot behind Cleveland's and
yeah.
Right.
Beach, well, whatever Beach
Yeah.
Rose is now and all that. That's kind of, you got this and you got that. Okay. I don't have any questions relative to what Phil's presented, John.
No, thank you for
I'm all
coming
set.
back with this.
Sarah?
Welcome.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Okay. All right, we've read all the comments, I believe, and we'll open it up to anybody in the audience have questions or comments. If you do, come on up. No? All right, we're proud, so, okay. Since we're at the end of the road, we do have, we have some special conditions that we will add. We use our standard, as we all know, and the special conditions, as we went through tonight, is all comments by the Wellville Fire Department of January 3rd shall be incorporated into the plan. These are all prior to endorsement, too.
Yes, here.
Oh, There's one for John, I'm sorry.
Okay. That's it.
Oh, for Kyle? Okay. The next special condition was comments by the town engineer of December 27th. On his plan review will be incorporated prior to endorsement. Those are these comments on his plans. You guys understand that one?
Yes.
Okay. And then the second part of that is also, it has to incorporate the special conditions noted by the town engineer of the same date, December 27th.
We just reworded the second special condition because Carl left it kind of open-ended about how the assistance would occur to stipulate that it would be, the applicant has agreed to donate $12,000 to the town of Walpole. The only change to our language would be that it would be prior to endorsement instead of prior to occupancy.
Endorse. And did you get that, Kate?
Yeah.
12 grand, me and you, and prior to endorsement. Sarah's note that 10%, add that. These are all prior to endorsement to 10%. And same thing with adequate lighting, as Sarah requested, be noted and provided prior to endorsement. I don't see anything else that we missed something. You may not ever tell us, but I don't see anything to that effect. Do you boys have anything? No? No. Okay.
You mentioned the change in the parking to change the 12 to 13.
That's in Carl's
That's in
comments.
Carl's.
Said 1 to 4, yeah.
All right, so that's in Carl's. All right. those are our special conditions, so make a motion to vote those special conditions.
Second?
Okay, second, all in favor?
Aye.
And I'll make a motion to approve site case 22-04 with our standard and special conditions.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
I just want to say that I'm going to abstain from the vote, just because of my work with Destination Downtown, and so I feel it's better to just abstain.
Okay.
Thank you.
Still have 3.
I'm a little sick. This is the time for them to be nice to us, guys. All they need.
$12,000.
No, I don't care about that. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve, as we stated, for case 22-04. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those, oh, I need a second on that, I'll back up. I need a
Second.
Okay, second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
John, opposed, abstain,
Abstain?
301. Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
We need to close the hearing?
Once done, yeah, I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Further discussions, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Once you make the vote, it doesn't matter about that. I leave it open like that.
Oh,
just-
okay, oh,
no,
okay.
just in case we scoot, like, we don't want to change something, because if we close it, you can't say anything.
Oh, okay, I see. So it could just,
Yeah, just like if
It'll
there's
just
a
end at the
little
meeting,
flick of the
that's-
bick or something, that'll be
yeah, yeah,
changed.
okay.
Okay, now, next hearing, 7:20.
Hold on, Jack, one sec.
Do I see anyone from there?
You want this here? Very interesting.
Less paper.
Interesting, but yes.
Okay. We have from... Okay, we have 2 emails, okay, correct, Kate?
I'm sorry?
From Petrozzi, 2
Well, one
emails?
is an extension of.
Yeah, okay. All right, first email from Wall Street Development, he wants to extend through February 28th, 2023. I'll make that in the form of motion to allow. Do I have a second?
What was the date again?
End of February 28th. Okay, and a second, John?
Second?
All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 1-0-0. And we have to give him a hearing in February, first,
February 2nd.
okay? February 2nd? Yeah, we got anything on that night yet? All right, 7:10. All right, this hearing, public hearing will be continued on February 2nd, correct? At 7:10 PM. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 7:10, okay? We hand those back? All right. Oh, well, it should have been in that folder, sorry. Next one, we have a site plan for 2250 Route 1. Are we still missing, Kate?
Unless there's a reason, I'm
All
not
right,
sure.
all right. All right, one thing was noted, Phil, before we start, I'll ask you, is we do have an assessors list for Walpole, but we don't have one for Foxborough.
John, you're the one who filed.
Well, he's right out there. I talked to Jim Crowley about that. He said you just need to know.
Jim Crowley isn't the planning board, it's our site plan. It's right in there, the butters.
He's the zoning enforcement officer. No?
It's a zone enforcement, it is not, it's very clear in our rule book, it's abutters. It does not say abutters in Walpole only. I guess the question would be, when did it get brought up to Mr. Crowley?
Oh, a month or so ago.
Okay, then why wouldn't you forward something to us to say that this is interpretation? I mean, right now,
Because then,
well, see, this is not a zoning issue. He's gonna interpret whether it's 10 feet, 3 feet, or whatever. This is notification on how how a site plan runs.
it's part of the zoning.
It's part of the zoning bylaw, but he can't change what's in there that's requirements. I don't know what
Part of the
the,
zoning bylaw, so I asked him, that's
I don't,
what he said is you're required to notify the planning board of the abutting town. So we abut Foxborough, so we notify.
yeah, without a doubt, you have to do that for site plan, you have to do that for subdivision if you go, whether they abut it or not. But it says, you have to notify the abutting town. I don't disagree, but it also says you have to notify abutters. And Foxborough has abutters. It's two different things. Because we get those all the time, don't we, Kate, still? Whether you're a butter or not, we'll get one from Sharon, one from Norwood, Westwood, Medfield, whoever.
Is there a reason you wouldn't want to notify the Foxborough abutters?
No, there's no reason, other than I asked, who I thought was the proper person, since it's part of the zoning bylaw, and the answer was you need to notify the planning board in Foxborough. So when the assessors gave me the thing and it said Town of Foxborough, I wrote in by hand the planning board's name and address.
But he didn't
Plus,
say,
I'm not so sure that there's even abutters in Foxborough to this property.
right behind there, right on Fox Hill.
Janet, I gave you
And
the
our
letters.
project is for the land that's in Malta.
This,
Yeah, but the,
So you notify
there's
the
some,
direct
I
abutters.
think that there's some there.
there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the town of Foxborough's the only one. Yeah, right behind it, you've got those buildings right there. Because this land does abut Foxborough. Okay. All right, simple way, we can not open it, we'll open it to continue, and you can come back 2 weeks. But we want you to notify those abutters.
Fair.
All right, okay, this hearing will be continued until, what's the date next time, Kate? 9th? We got a lot on there?
19?
What's it, 5th? Yeah, 19th,
I need an extension, that's what I was looking for.
okay.
The 19th of January, we can do the 19th.
Do we need extension still?
Yep.
Okay, can we have extension through January 31st?
Yes.
Can I make a motion to allow extension through January 31st? For a
Second.
So we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now,
Why don't we do 7:05,
okay.
January 19th?
Okay, and all you have to do is, because all you gotta do is notice those people. Just send them this and give us a copy of who it went to. Okay, well, you guys know the way.
Right.
7:05 and 7:06.
Right, so
Yeah,
I'm sorry, right,
7:05 and
7:05,
7:06.
yeah. And was that extension for both?
Yeah, for both
Okay.
special
Yes, please.
permit and
Both.
site plans.
Both
Okay.
cases.
All right. See you on the 19th.
Thank you.
All right. That takes care of that. Oh, well, do we have a plan for Home of Little Wanderers that we're gonna vote?
Yeah.
We do? Is John staying for that, or is he all set? John, are you staying for the Home of Little Wanderers plan, or you all set?
I'll stay if you want me to.
This is the final that was agreed that we all talked about, right?
Left this on the chair.
Oh, thank you.
Kyle, you seen that one?
I have.
Okay, you have any issues with that?
I do not.
All right, I see what I wanted on there.
Yep.
I'll give it back if I need to.
No, I could, because I can have Carl make a copy.
I ended up printing it out on individual sheets.
Oh, my God.
But otherwise, I couldn't.
I printed it and I was like, what is
You
this?
can't read anything, so I marked it up so I know what plot is what sheet. It's a matrix, so.
Oh, getting old, you need to.
Yeah, I need,
And the
yeah.
magnifier.
I want to make sure that Al is pointing into that area. I will talk about the other glasses that we can use.
You guys need to see this? or-
Find one.
I actually printed it out.
You all set with it?
Yeah, but
Okay, I don't see an issue with it. Sarah, you all set with this plan? Revised?
Yeah, could just give me 1 second.
Yeah, all I,
I do have a question, but I don't know who I'm gonna ask the question to.
go ahead.
So this was also the meeting that I didn't attend, but I watched it.
Yeah.
when you fill out the form,
And
you have to make sure you fill out the
yeah,
form.
fill out the form.
Okay,
And-
sorry.
John can probably answer your question.
Okay. So my question is, so John, I wasn't at the meeting that you were at, and I didn't get to ask the question. So the idea is to get the scenic road approved now, and then the work will be done at a later date. Is that correct?
Yeah, the work as far as putting in the driveways.
Yeah.
I think 2 of them are going to be put in, in the, probably within the next month. But that is Lot 5, which is the one that's all the way closest to the school. And that already has an opening into it. And the other one is Lot 3, and that already has an opening into it. But those ones, they haven't closed yet, but the builder has had me do all sorts of tasks to move those 2 lots along.
Okay.
The other lots, I don't know.
What is,
No
what is
one's,
the home doing for filing a revised site plan? Because these were in the original.
what's that?
We did a site plan for Home Little Waters probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They need to modify it. Just can't. I get the well from everybody. Well, if we took this land away from the Walpole Mall, we'd have to have them come back. Would you agree, Kyle? You had this plan out, where'd it go? You have a site plan existence that shows everything.
Well,
I've-
again,
this
Mr.
ain't the
Chairman,
first time
I'm
I said it.
sorry that he left, but.
I've been saying this for
I do
forever.
not do this stuff unilaterally. I went to the building inspector. In fact, I think he sent an email that's in your file with the A&R plan,
It said what?
that there is no requirement to do a modified site.
Do we have that, Kate?
Wouldn't have it
It's in
written down.
it's in with the,
Remember
when we
reading it?
did the A&R plan.
I don't remember seeing it, so.
That
Go
issue
back and look at the
Definitely.
thing on your,
Definitely was.
was discussed, and if not, I believe I had it in comments to the board on the A&R, so that the issue surfaced during the A&R approval.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and that they knew, they understood it. John, I know you don't control this, that's all. I'm just saying, if you know anything, if not, well,
I'm telling you what I know.
I know,
I don't
I'm not-
hide things. I'm telling you what I did.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
To do the A&R. In fact, didn't I give you an A&R and then and Carl brought it up?
I
The
did.
town engineer brought it up. And so I immediately, we withdrew the A&R.
You did it twice.
I went down and I talked to Jim Crowley, and his decision is, no, you don't need to do anything more. We came here, we presented the A&R, and we had
Well,
back
come
and
under the A&R,
forth.
very simple, is we can't deny an A&R based upon a site plan.
Yeah.
We have to approve it as, but if something else is on top of it or whatever. John, I don't know, well, if you get that to us, but my own opinion is, I don't understand how sudden we gotta sit here for night after night doing a site plan, and then you can go just wipe out 20 acres, so it doesn't make any sense. So now if I pick up the site plan of Home Little Waters sometime in the future, where'd it go? That's all, but,
Just telling you what I did,
That's-
Mr. Chairman.
that's-
I don't make the decision in the end, so I consulted with the town building inspector, building commissioner. That was his opinion. He put it in an email or in a letter, submitted to the board. I understand what you're saying, an A&R is an A&R.
well, one of the things I learned a long time ago in the company I work for is you tell the truth. You don't tell the whole truth. When you tell the whole truth, things open up. You said, oh yeah, the driveways, and they're gonna be next month. If we didn't hear that, we wouldn't have even been in that discussion.
The driveways are.
When you said they're gonna start putting the new ones in, if I didn't hear that, we wouldn't, but anyway.
We're gonna start
We're
telling
gonna
you the
deal with
truth.
your plan here.
I can rescind
So
that
Mike-
if you want
Mike-
me to.
My question, my concern is,
Yes.
if it's approved, and it's approved with taking down some trees, and then you take down those trees, and then later they change the driveway, that's what I don't want. So is the plan to not remove any trees until the driveway is known for sure?
Yeah, so Sarah, those we didn't just willy-nilly, we're not just willy-nilly showing those. We have septic plans, Lot 5 and Lot 3 have been submitted to the Board of Health. I mean, those actually turn into almost site plans. We have order of conditions on Lot 5. We have negative determination of applicability on Lot 3. So the Conservation Commission has seen these plans, and on Lot 5, they've approved them with the order of conditions. On Lot 3, it's a little different because they issue a negative determination of applicability, which essentially says, well, you're not under our jurisdiction. But it's not like we just picked those spots and now a builder's going to come along and say, well, I want it over here. I mean, it's all been laid out. I will just tell you, if I'm involved, and it seems like I'm going to be involved with all of those, if one of these builders or a builder comes and says, I want to move it, I'm going to say, well, we're going back into the planning board.
Right, yeah.
So no-
So that's fine, just,
they
I know
can't-
that the chair mentioned it before, like, it's not usually the way we do it, and so I just wanted to state, like, I hope you're not gonna take down trees and then
No.
come back and be like, oops, sorry, we
No,
need
that's
these
why I
other 10
want-
trees.
That's why I wanted to plan everything tied in, so that you can know exactly where it is. So if it's up here, you can just say, well, wait a minute, you go
Yeah.
back and lay it out and say, no, it's not, it's.
Yeah.
So that's my
I
only
see what
concern.
you're saying,
Yeah.
and
They're gonna get it-
I don't know
yes.
if you have the ability to do this, but I'm sure it is palatable with the home, is you could say, well, this permit, these scenic road permits don't kick in until someone gets a building permit, right? So that, or until there's some kind of action has to happen. Because I see what you're saying. Somebody could cut the trees and whatever and then say, oh, move
I
the stone
don't
wall.
mind
Oh,
doing
now I'm
it.
going to move it over there, and then I'm back in front of you, and, well, you already cut the trees
Right,
and this and
yeah.
that, so.
So Mr. Chair, if you will, the theoretical it's an in practice, is if the building permit is filed, we see it. Almost all of them seem to go through me up there.
Okay,
Part of that is a curb cut permit.
okay,
I wouldn't issue a curb cut permit without that
The
and
scenic
your
road.
approval.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right?
okay.
So if they came in for that last fall, we would have said, bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Alright.
no
Yeah.
curb cut permit.
So we, in a sense, in other words, so then it would become incumbent on us to get and say, okay, is what's shown on the building permit plan matching that plan?
Right.
All right.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I
there's
just
a
wouldn't want them to
stop
cut all the
there.
trees and
And
then be
actually,
like,
the
we got the
building-
scenic road hearing.
The building department does quite a bit of review on their own when these permits come through. I mean, they not only worry about the building code, they pretty much take a look at what everybody else is supposed to be doing too.
Okay.
So there is, I'm not saying it's foolproof, but there is a process at which this will happen. As a matter of fact, he comes in with a month on it, I'm not sure, because it's work within the public way, so I don't even know if we're gonna quite get there in a month. But we will,
You're gonna wait
we
till
will
the
check and see if the
15th.
issue, we may put a stay on it and said, don't do it for a little bit after that, but, anyway, that's the process, so that there is kind of a check and balance to this.
If what you said,
as we
Carl,
move
you get a
forward.
little curb cut, this would probably be the most,
Excuse me, Jack.
what?
Mr. Crowley is still in the building. Do you want him to come back?
well said. When you get this, you'll actually have a plan in front of you that shows exactly, most curb cuts you get is kind of like here, as opposed to not defined like this.
Correct, yes, this one's dimensioned more than normal.
Yeah.
All right, yes, and there will be a plan, and actually, I should have already seen, well, I don't know if I would have seen the -3 plan, but the one with the NOI went through Concom, but I think it slipped through my fingers.
I mean, I have no problem at all with, running off or emailing you all 5 of the site plans that go with that, and that's, the site plans are, the same, it's all the same plan, and it shows where those are. I do see, how it could go awry.
This? Or you mean like up the street, the old, it's easier to beg forgiveness than ask for permission?
yeah, I can see how it could go awry, but if I'm involved, I'll do the best I can. I mean, right now, believe me, you have a local conscientious builder who understands he needs to follow the plan, and he's not
Is there a
just.
name attached to that?
Greg Corus.
Oh,
Greg Corus, Coras.
Off of Delaney Drive,
oh,
Lost Brook.
He's very,
except when he forgot to get a bond and he
Well,
had
I
to
don't-
move
I'm
that.
just
Yeah,
saying
That's
he-
the same guy, right?
he's
I remember
always
sitting
in
in
my,
the high
he's
school
he's in my
auditorium.
office 3 times a week. He asks a lot of
Yeah,
questions.
sitting right there, I was like, yeah.
He wants to make sure that he doesn't make mistakes, believe me, so.
Yeah,
And like I said, the 2 lots that he has now already have, we drive in those, in the,
no, I see it when I go by there. Okay, all right, I'll make a motion.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
I just have one question on Lot 5, and I think you answered this last time, but, so it's gonna move 14 feet of stone on it would be on the right-hand side of the driveway, and that, I think that's in addition to the 12 feet, and I think you had said that's to make more visibility for turning, was that what it was?
right. So you're sort of coming down a little bit of a
Yeah.
hill after you go, and you have to kind of make that right turn, and the driveway isn't at sort of a 90, it's kind of angled back a little bit, so we just thought we'd give them enough, room to make that swing into the driveway.
So the actual driveway would actually curve out there a little bit, it doesn't show
A
it on
little
the.
bit.
Yeah, it doesn't show it on the diagram here, okay, just wanted,
But the,
just want to confirm that.
yeah, I mean, mostly it's just sort of moving the stones kind of back a little bit, They can frame the driveway, but the way they are now, even sort of in the van, it's kind of a little bit of an odd turn to kind of turn in, so
Yeah.
we just wanted to move some of those stones
Okay.
away.
Just want to make sure I understood that.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve as given to us. the
Second.
plan. All right, second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained? Okay, all right, John.
All right, thanks.
That was a hard one. Hey, question for you, is, I noticed that Gun Club, this is your opinion, is the others have put new poles up there, and I know there was one spot, not sure if it was on this land or the Civitas. Do they have to seek somebody, or can they just stick a pole anywhere? I know they're pretty close to the old ones are kind of going, I'm just curious.
Well, if you want to know the whole story, so those poles actually went across this piece of property, right? So I forget the woman's name, but some woman had given the
Oh, I remember
gun
that.
club a license.
But they started,
So now, the home asked basically, I'd say they asked, they could have told them, because the license expired when that woman sold. So they asked the gun club if they would move the poles
Okay.
over to to where the driveway is.
so this wasn't the Edison come up, they just stick them in one day when they had nothing to do?
No, we made sure that we
Okay.
staked the lot line and that Edison knew where they could put the poles and where they could not put them.
Okay, because I saw him saying, okay, I know, okay, so you
No,
guys,
it wasn't done willy-nilly.
it looked like they were just kind of replacing some poles that were old, that's what I looked at it, but that's fine.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's, the Edison or Eversource, once they sort of realized what was going on, because actually going across the property, the home's property, a fairly large tree had fallen on that wire, and it didn't break it, but it was like, this. And so I think when they realized that they had no access to get to that it made sense to
Okay.
put it along the driveway where they would have access, and it got it off of that property.
Okay, thanks, John. All right,
Thank you. Good night.
okay, last thing I hear is a master plan update.
Yes.
Yep.
So just going to give you an update. We are still waiting for the draft of the plan from the Spirit Planning Group. They've been working hard at it. With the holidays, there was some delays and COVID issues. But they've, communicating with Judy They're doing some reorganizing, making it better. So what we're going to be getting is actually the color version, the final draft. And when we meet next, the committee will be voting on all of the recommendations in that plan. So Pat has not set up a meeting yet, because we're waiting until we get that draft. We want to give members of the committee at least 2 or 3 weeks' time to read it, so they have an appropriate time to really dig in and analyze it. So I would expect, it looks like we'll get the plan from Judy in mid-January. And so we may not actually have that next meeting of the committee till maybe early February, but to be determined.
Okay. All right. That's.
So we're at that end. It's really us reviewing the plan and then voting one last time on the recommendations.
Okay.
So.
All right, that takes care of it. So make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconds, a lot of seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.